Have you ever imagined a war where the opponents are not humans, but emus? Yes, you heard that right. Emus. This isn't a tall tale, but a page right out of history. Picture this. The year is 1932, and across the vast stretches of Australia, a unique crisis is unfolding. A considerable population of emus, those tall, flightless birds native to the continent, are wreaking havoc on the crops. Farmers are distraught, their livelihoods threatened by this unexpected menace. In a move as surprising as the problem itself, the call for help is answered not by animal control or conservationists, but the military. Yes, the Australian military. Armed and prepared for an enemy they likely never expected to face, a legion of emus. This, my friends, was the onset of what is now famously known as the Great Emu War. So the stage was set for an unprecedented war, pitting man against bird. But how did it all unfold, you ask? Let's dive into the timeline of this bizarre conflict. As the military gears up, ready to face their feathery foes, the war officially begins. The Australian military, armed with machine guns, set out to control the burgeoning emu population that was wreaking havoc on the country's crops. But these weren't your run-of-the-mill adversaries. Emus, it turns out, are surprisingly speedy. With their long legs, they easily outran the soldiers, darting across the vast Australian landscape with a speed that defied belief. Adding to the military's woes, the emus didn't move in large groups, but rather scattered across the terrain, making them difficult targets. The military's initial attempts to curb the emu onslaught were, to put it mildly, unsuccessful. This unusual war was met with a mix of astonishment and humor by the public and media alike. The papers were filled with headlines that seemed more at home in a comic book than a serious.
Hey awesome viewers, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful or entertaining, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, and hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to me, and it helps the channel grow. Join our FactTrail community for more great content. Thanks for being part of the journey.
Newspaper. Despite their best efforts, the military was finding it tough to win against these fast and dispersed emus. The war was far from over, and the emus weren't backing down. As the conflict escalated, the military had to devise new strategies to combat these feathered foes. Machine guns were deployed, a decision that marked a dramatic escalation in the warfare. Despite the increased firepower, the emus proved to be elusive targets, their swift and erratic movements often allowing them to evade the hail of bullets. The war was no longer a local issue. The media started to pick up the story, casting an international spotlight on this unusual conflict. The military's struggle against the emus was met with a mixture of amusement and criticism. Some praised the effort to protect the farmers' livelihoods, while others questioned the ethics and effectiveness of using military force against wildlife. But the emus were undeterred. They continued to ravage crops, seemingly impervious to the military's efforts. As the war raged on, the emus seemed to be gaining the upper hand. As the dust settled, who really emerged victorious in this unique war? The answer is not as clear-cut as one might think. The Great Emu War came to an end, not with a military victory, but rather due to a mounting wave of negative public opinion and media criticism. The soldiers, despite their best efforts, were unable to quell the emu onslaught. In the aftermath, the emus continued to damage crops, posing a significant problem for the local farmers. The war had ended, but the battle between man and these tenacious birds was far from over. It became clear that a more sustainable solution was needed. Eventually, a bounty system was introduced, incentivizing locals to cull the emus, leading to a more controlled population. This strategy proved to be more effective than the military operation, highlighting that sometimes the simplest solutions can be the most effective. So the Great Emu War ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, leaving us with an unforgettable tale of man versus nature.